Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between these two Ravnica Legion's Planeswalker decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. On the left we have Domri's deck, on the right we have Dovin's deck, and we'll be using these three hero cards. I only have one copy of each card, so we're going to apply these three hero cards to both decks simultaneously. The Harvester says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Explorer says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. The Vanquisher says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. We'll start with 8 cards apiece, and because it's multiplayer, we'll draw a card on the first turn. We're going to be playing this twice on medium difficulty with 3 turns before the Horde attacks, and then on hard mode with 2 turns before the Horde attacks. We'll draw 8 cards apiece. Domi draws a Frenzied Airings, Ragefire, Stony Strength, Sylvan Brush Strider, Forest, Frenzied Airings, Gravelhide Goblin, and Mountain. This is not ideal, but we can hopefully loot into something better, so we'll keep this. Dovin draws a Dovin's Automaton, Senate Courier, Island, Verity Circle, Senate Courier, Coding Constraint, Windstorm Drake, and Island. Even though we don't have any white mana, we also don't have any white cards, and so I think this is a keepable first hand, and hopefully we'll again be able to loot into something better. For the first turn, we will play a Forest and a Mountain over here. We'll tap both of these and play the Gravelhide Goblin. We'll play both of the islands over here, and we'll play nothing on this side. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Domri will draw a card, which is Domri City Smasher. We will immediately discard that card. And Dovin will draw an island, and we will discard a Code of Constraint. And then we will untap, draw. Domri draws an Enraze Forerunners, and Dovin will draw a Summary Judgment. We don't have the lands that we need, so what we're actually going to do is tap the Harvester again. And Domri will draw a Mountain, and we'll discard the Ragefire. And Dovin will draw an Island, and we will discard a Summary Judgment. And then we will play this Mountain and both of these islands. And we will tap 3 mana over here and play the Sylvan Brush Strider, getting us 2 life, taking us up to 22. And over here we'll tap everything and play Dovin's Automaton, which is a 3/3. It has an additional ability, but it only matters when we get the Planeswalker. And then we will attack with the Gravelhide Goblin to deal 2 damage to the Horde. The Horde will mill 2 cards. The first one is a Massacre Totem. It says, Hero's Reward Massacre Totem is put into a graveyard from anywhere. Put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into the graveyard. We also have milled a Vitality Salve. So when Vitality Salve is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Do not believe we have any creature cards in the battlefield. We don't, and so that won't be happening. And then we will untap, and we'll draw. Dovin draws a Ragefire. Domri draws a Plains. We are in our final turn. Hopefully we can draw more mana, so we will tap the Harvester again. Domri will draw a Forest and discard the Ragefire. Dovin will draw an Island and discard the Island. And then we will play the Forest, and we will tap 4 mana and play a Frenzied Airings. And we will use the Riot. It says, this creature enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. We obviously chose the +1/+1 counter. Over here we'll play the Plains, tap everything out, and we'll play the Windstorm Drake. And then we will attack with the Sylvan Brush Strider, the Gravelhide Goblin, and the Dovin's Automaton for a total of 8 damage. Alright, we'll put these all in the graveyard. And then we will pass the turn to the Horde. They're going to cast the top 3 cards. The first one is a Minotaur Younghorn. It has haste and attacks each turn if able. The second one is a Minotaur Gorseeker. It's a 3/2, same deal. And the final one is Descend Upon the Prey. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains first strike until end of turn, and it must be blocked at this turn. Able, these 2 are attacking. We must block them, so the Frenzied Airings will block the Gorseeker, and the Windstorm Drake will block the Younghorn. Both of these will die. And then we will pass to our turn. We'll untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Ragefire, and Dovin draws a Dovin's Dismissal. We'll go on the attack with these 3 for another 8 damage. We hit a Plundered Statue, which says when Plundered Statues put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Draw a card each. Domri draws a Zertal Goblin, and Dovin draws an Arrester's Zeal. With our 4 mana, we'll go ahead and spend here to play another Frenzied Airings with another +1/+1 counter. And over here, we'll spend 3 mana to play a Senate Courier. And then we'll pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 3 cards. First one being a Minotaur Goreseeker. Second one being a Plundered Statue. It says at the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. And finally we'll get a Phobos Reaver. These two will attack. Both of them will run into the Frenzied Pharynx's Perish. And then we will use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Domri will draw a Burn Bright and immediately discard the Burn Bright. Dovin will draw a Dovin's Automaton and we will discard the Dovin's Dismissal. Then we'll untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Mountain. Dovin draws a Plains. We'll play the Plains. We'll play a Mountain. And then we will attack with everybody but the 2 Frenzied Pharynxes for 13 damage. We got 1 Refreshing Elixir. It says when Refreshing Elixir is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. That means we'll gain 10 life total and take us to 32. And then on our second main phase, we'll cast a Senate Courier and a Verity Circle over here. Verity Circle says whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card. We'll spend 2 mana over here to cast a Zertar Goblin, and we'll put a +1/+1 counter on it because of its riot ability, and then we'll pass the turn to the Horde, which will cast the top 4 cards now. We'll have a Minotaur Younghorn, a Phobos Reaver, a Minotaur Younghorn, and a Touch of the Horn God. It says whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. All of these are going to attack with Death Touch. We have plenty of life, and so we're actually going to take all 6 damage and go down to 26. And then it'll be our turn, but before the end of the Horde's turn, we'll use the Harvester. Domri will draw a Forest, and we will discard a Stony Strength. Dovin will draw a Azorius Guildgate and pitch that immediately. We'll untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Domri's Notorog, and Dovin draws an island. We'll play the island, play the forest. We'll tap 5 mana here and plays Domri's Notorog. It has Trample. It's a 5/2. When Domri's Notorog enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Domri's City Smasher. Reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. We already know that we discarded that, so we'll take it, put it into our hand. And then over here, we will tap 4 mana and play Dovin's Automaton. And then we will go to attacks. We'll attack with the Brush Strider, the Zertar Goblin, the Gravelhide Goblin, the Windstorm Drake, the Dovin's Automaton. We'll tap 2 to give this Courier Vigilance and attack with that Vigilant. We'll attack with this one tapped for a total of 18 damage. We hit another Refreshing Elixir, which means we'll get 10 life to take us up to 36. Then we hit an Altar of Mogus, which says when Altar of Mogus is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. Go ahead and sacrifice these 2 Minotaurs, and then we'll pass to the Horde's turn. The Horde will untap. The Horde will attack with the Minotaur Younghorn right into a Frenzied Pharynx, and that will perish. And the Ravnica Legion Sealed Decks will defeat the Horde. We'll be right back with Hard Mode. Alright, this is Hard Mode. We'll get 2 turns before the Horde attacks. We'll start with 8 cards apiece. Domri gets a Feral Macaw, Forest, Mountain, 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 Burn Bright, Ragefire, Silver Frustrator. This isn't great, but we'll keep that. Dovin gets a Plains, Concordia Pegasus, Prowling Caracol, Elite Arrestor, Island, Plains, Azorius Guildgate, and Arrestor's Zeal. This isn't great, but we'll also keep this as well. And because this is multiplayer, we'll draw a card on the first turn. We get a Stony Strength and a Unbreakable Formation. We'll play a Mountain and a Forest over here. We'll tap them and play a Feral Macaw. We'll play a Island and a Plains over here. We'll tap them and we'll play a Prowling Caracol. And then we will end the turn using the Harvester. Domri will draw a card, which is a Forest, and we will discard the Burn Bright. Dovin will draw a card, which is an Arrestor's Zeal, which we will immediately discard. And then we'll untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Forest, and Dovin draws a 10th District Veteran. We'll play the Azorius Guildgate tapped and a Plains over here. We'll play a Forest and a Mountain over here. And then we will tap 3 mana over here to play the Sylvan Brush Strider, which will get us 2 life to take us up to 22. We will attack with the Macaw and the Prowling Caracol to do a total of 5 damage. The Plundered Statue and the Refreshing Elixir get us 1 card and 10 life, taking us up to 32 and card apiece. Domri will draw a Forest, and Dovin will draw a Spirit of the Spires. We will play for our 3 mana over here, the 10th District Veteran. It is a 2/3 with Vigilance, and whenever it attacks, untap another target creature we control. This will go into the graveyard, and we will pass the turn to the Horde, which will have their first attack. We'll cast the top 3 cards, which are a Reckless Minotaur. It is a 4/1 with haste. It attacks each turn if able, and at the beginning of the end step, destroy the Reckless Minotaur, as well as a Minotaur Younghorn and a Minotaur Younghorn. All 3 of these will attack. We will ignore the Reckless Minotaur. This will run into the 10th District Veteran and perish, and we will cast Stony Strength, putting a +1/+1 counter on the Brush Strider, letting it also block the other Minotaur Younghorn with ease. Killing these 2 will take 4 damage from this to take us down all the way to 28 life. And then at the end of the Horde's turn, we'll use the Harvester. Domri will draw an Axebane Beast and discard 1 of the forests. Dovin will draw a Verity Circle, and we will discard the Arrester's Zeal. We'll untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Forest, and Dovin draws a Spirit of the Spires. We'll play a Mountain and a Forest over here, and then we will attack with the whole team. This will cause the Prowling Caracal to untap, as well as you will attack, and you will attack, meaning that we will do a total of 11 damage. Alright, we have a Plundered Statue to let us draw a card, and Vitality Salve to let us bring a creature back from our graveyard to the battlefield. We'll draw a card apiece. Domri draws a Forest, Dovin draws an Island, and then while that trigger for the Vitality Salve is on the stack, we'll use the Harvester. We will draw and discard a Frenzied Pharynx. We'll draw a Senate Courier, and we will discard a Spirit of the Spires. And the Vitality Salve will resolve, bringing back the Frenzied Pharynx and the Spirit of the Spires to the battlefield. The Pharynx will get a +1/+1 counter. And then on the second main phase, we will tap 4 mana over here and play the Axebane Beast. And over here, we will tap 4 mana and play the other Spirit of the Spires. These all give our flying creatures +0/+1, making them both 2/5s. And then we'll play the last island over here, and we will pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 3 cards, the first one being a Minotaur Younghorn, the second one being a Phobos Reaver, and the last one being a Minotaur Goreseeker. All 3 of these will attack. The Goreseeker will run into the Spirit of the Spire and perish. The Younghorn will run to the 10th District Veteran and perish, and the Phobos Reaver will run into the Frenzied Pharynx and will also perish. Everything dies, and then we will untap. We'll draw. Domri draws a Rampaging Redhorn, and Dovin will draw Endosaurus Guildgate. We'll play the Guildgate tapped, and we'll play both of these forests over here. We'll tap 5 mana. We'll play the Rampaging Redhorn with a +1/+1 counter, and then we will attack with the Prowling Caracal, the 10th District Veteran, the Spirit of the Spires, using the 10th District Veteran to make it untap, and the other Spirit of the Spires, as well as the Axebane Beast, the Feral Macaw, the Sylvan Brush Strider, the Frenzied Pharynx, and we can't attack with the Rampaging Redhorn, and then we will deal a total of 22 damage. Okay, we have a single Refreshing Elixir, taking us all the way up to 38 life. On the second main phase, we will tap 3 mana for a Senate Courier, and then 2 more mana for the Concordia Pegasus. Both of these have +0/+2, giving them very big butts. And then we'll pass the turn to the Horde, which casts the top 3 cards. We have an Altar of Mogis, which means they'll cast 4 cards next turn. A Mogis is chosen, which comes to the battlefield tapped, and a Touch of the Horn Guard, which says when a Minotaur attacks this turn against that touch until end of turn. They don't have any actions, and so at the end of the turn we will loot the Harvester. Domri will draw a Feral Macaw and will discard the Ragefire. Dovin will draw a Plains and will discard the Elite Arrester, and then we will untap. Domri will draw a Domri's Notorog, and Dovin will draw a Dovin's Dismissal, and then we will attack with the Prowling Caracal, the 10th District Veteran, the Feral Macaw, the Sylvan Brush Strider, the Frenzied Pharynx, both Spirits of the Spires. That should be enough, I think, to finish it off. That is a total of 19 damage. Alright, we hit a Master Totem, but there's not enough cards left to put into the graveyard, so we'll stop there. We'll pass to the Horde. The Horde will untap, and it'll attack with the Mogus Chosen right into the Rampaging Red Horde. They'll trade, and the Ravnica Allegiance Planeswalker decks will defeat the Horde. This was pretty straightforward and pretty easy. Let me know what your thoughts were about the games in the comments below. If I made any rules or gameplay errors, also make sure to let me know so that I can get better at this in the future. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Next time we'll be pitting these two decks up against the Defeat a God Challenge deck from Journey to Nyx. Until then, thanks for watching, and this was Refresh.